Why hello, and welcome back to another video. Now this video is going to be me describing what my top 10 things that are wrong with the education system of America, and how that we should discuss them in everyday topics, and how we should try and fix them, and what we do. And number one. Now this one's a little bit more based off of what I've heard from other teachers, not towards me per se, but just off of what other people have said. Now, this is called the grouping or labeling of students by just off of how they look or how they act. Now, basically the students, the day that they step into elementary school, are grouped into like categories of kids. You have the smart kid, like they say, like the smart kids, and then the gifted kids, and then people that have disabilities, and then the people who really don't care or are just like ADHD but aren't really identified yet, so they're not on medicine. And so these all are dependent on how they do in school, and then how the teachers treat them and such. And that shouldn't be a thing. I mean, sure, people with learning disabilities and such should be treated differently because of the fact that they learn differently. But if you start making distinctions at that young of an age, telling kids, oh, you're a smart kid, or you're a gifted kid, or not you don't learn in a traditional classroom. You don't learn in a traditional classroom study in a traditional classroom setting, excuse me, then you're stupid, and why you need to be more like so and so or so and so, and so that puts them into their mind, I'm not really worth it, or I'm not really up to the challenge of being at school and learning. And so that this sets like a future or precedent for failure for some kids, and that should be basically removed. Number two, a lack of respect towards teachers. Now, I could go on and on and on about this subject, and how, as how America is falling apart with their moral roles, and then their parents, and then are not teaching their kids correctly, so they're not learning correctly to respect the authorities of the land, which is why we have so many problems with police, public relationships, because of the fact that people are like, I don't need to respect them. But that's a different topic for a different day. Now, there is a lack of respect towards teachers. Students no longer respect the time that teachers put in to making their lessons to help teach them. And teachers are also demonized by the parents when they send home notes to their with their kid, or they send their parents an email or a phone call saying, "Hey, your kid's acting up in class. Would you please take care of this at home?" And parents are like, "Oh, my child could never do that. Why would they do that? My child's perfect, obviously." So teachers, that was amazing, by the way. Like the video because of that voice. Um, they people are, you know, teachers are now no longer respected by the parents, and parents don't respect the teachers, saying, "Oh, well, my child can obviously have his or her faults, and if I identify this at home and fix it at home, then they won't have it at school, and that way they wouldn't take away from their child's learning." And so, that's just basically all boils back down to their home life. And yeah, I know that's a really sticky or iffy issue and such. This is why I'm keeping it brief. Now, number three. Now, this point is different, and this point is a little bit more, oh, you're going to be a teacher when you grow up, so you're going to get this now. But it needs to be addressed. The amount of pay that teachers are paid. Now, this will tie into another point I'm going to make in a few points, but the amount of pay that teachers get. The way that we pay our teachers and how we treat them when they're teaching the future of America, they're teaching the doctors, they're teaching the lawyers, they're teaching the next teachers of the next generations and such, but we're paying them, subpar we're paying them subpar. Excuse me, something on my desk is flew. We're paying them less than what other people do. That's not right. They should be paid. They should be idolized almost. Not idolized, but like put on a different level as doctors and lawyers, on the same level as that one, because of the fact that they're, sure, doctors help save lives, and lawyers help to fix them, but teachers set up the people so that they don't mess up their lives, and also to set them so that they can do better in life. Now, when we're paying them, like the average teacher salary, I don't know, is 100, like not even like $100. No, it's about 30,000 to 40,000 for the starting pay. That's horrible. Like, just absolutely horrendous. It's not supposed to be that way. But that's just my take on it. So do with it as you will. Next 2 points really go together hand in hand. So I'm going to have less of a break between them. There are going to be more. So 4 and 5. Unindividualized education, and then the lack of vocational or technical training schools in America compared to everywhere else in the nations comparable. Now, every student, if you've ever taught before in your life, you know that every student learns differently. Sure, there's a basic, they're either a visual learner, a oral learner, or like a hands-on learner. Sure, those are the basic 3 groups, but there's more detail to that than just those 3 groups. So every student just like learns differently. One of the main problems we have with this, though, is back to point number 1, where they are grouped together and they're said, oh, this is how you learn, or this is what you are, so this is how we're going to teach you, where that's not always the same case. Every student learns differently. So one way that would help this is if we had more teachers, which we would have more teachers if our teachers were more respected, and also if they were paid more, which this would help this point. So these points are eventually adding on to each other. Now, the 5th point, the technical training school, is, you always know this one kid that knows what they're wanting to do when they grow up. They are set in their mind. It hasn't changed ever. Like when you're in a high school and it hasn't changed since elementary school. They should be given the chance while they're still in high school to be able to go to like a technical training school, to be able to get a license for that job while they're in high school, so that that would eliminate student debt somewhat, so that they wouldn't have to have that debt problem, and B, give them the opportunity to go and right after high school jump into that job degree and to go and work, instead of going to college or just discouraging everyone else. Now, these students that know what they want to do are forced to go to classes that they don't really need for their job profession, such as, if you're going to be a plumber, unless you're going to be like a biological plumber, then you really don't need, up to a certain extent, a lot of biology or chemistry, for that matter. You just need to know you need to know like mechanical stuff and engineering stuff. You don't need to know all the sophisticated items of certain things that are taught, that are required, that are necessary for life. These kids that are forced to be in these classrooms that they don't really need to be in, now goof off in class. You always hear those kids, oh, he was the kid that threw a banana peel in the classroom, or they got in a fight, or they were asleep in classroom, and they distract kids that are wanting to be in that class, that need to be in that class, so that they can learn the necessary traits to be able to go to their college and then move on with their life, to be able to do their education or to continue their education, whereas you have other kids in that classroom who don't really want to be in there, or that don't pay attention and distract them. Now, this is something that detriments the education. That's a big word. That just destroys it, and that should be changed.